The sky was turning orange as Maya Johnson's sleek black car pulled up to the entrance of the Belmont Grand Hotel. The five-star establishment stood tall and proud with its glass walls reflecting the sunset. Maya checked her watch, 6:45 p.m. Perfect timing. She had an hour before her dinner with the tech conference organizers. "We've arrived, Ms. Johnson," her driver said, opening the door for her. Maya stepped out, her designer heels clicking against the polished driveway. At 42, she carried herself with quiet confidence. Her dark skin glowed in the evening light, and her braided hair was pulled back in an elegant updo. She wore a tailored navy blue suit that had cost more than what most people made in a month. Not that she flaunted her wealth. Maya had worked too hard for too long to feel the need to show off. "Thank you, David," she said with a warm smile. "I should be done by 10. Enjoy your evening off." The driver nodded respectfully. "Call if you need anything, Ms. Johnson." As the car drove away, a young bellhop rushed over to take her luggage. He couldn't be more than 20, with an eager-to-please smile. "Welcome to the Belmont Grand, ma'am," he said brightly. "Checking in?" Maya nodded. "Yes. Reservation for Johnson." "Right this way, please," the bellhop said, leading her through the revolving doors into a lobby that seemed to stretch forever. Crystal chandeliers hung from the high ceiling, and the marble floor gleamed like it was polished every hour. The air smelled of expensive perfume and freshly cut flowers. Maya took in her surroundings with appreciation, but not awe. As the founder and CEO of Future Tech Solutions, one of the fastest-growing technology companies in the world, she had stayed at her fair share of luxury hotels. Her company had revolutionized artificial intelligence systems in healthcare, making personalized medicine accessible to millions. Last year, Forbes had estimated her net worth at $2.3 billion. Not bad for a girl who had grown up in a small apartment above her parents' grocery store. At the front desk, a thin man with graying hair and a name tag that read Richard was checking in another guest, an older white man in a golf shirt who was loudly complaining about his flight delay. "I understand, sir," Richard was saying in a soothing voice. "We'll have you in our executive suite right away, and of course, we'll send up a complimentary bottle of champagne for your inconvenience." Maya waited patiently, scrolling through emails on her phone. She had over 50 unread messages, most of them about her keynote speech tomorrow. As the headline speaker at the National Tech Innovation Summit, she would be addressing thousands of industry leaders about the future of AI in public health. It was a big deal, even for someone of her stature. After the man left, escorted by another staff member, Maya approached the desk. Richard's pleasant expression shifted almost imperceptibly as she came forward. "Good evening," Maya said. "I have a reservation under Johnson. Maya Johnson." Richard's fingers moved slowly over his keyboard. Johnson, he muttered, frowning at his screen. "I confirmed it yesterday," Maya added helpfully. "The presidential suite for 3 nights. Richard's frown deepened. "I'm not seeing it in our system." Maya raised an eyebrow but kept her voice even. "That's odd. I received a confirmation email. Let me find it for you." She pulled up the email on her phone and placed it on the counter, displaying the reservation details and confirmation number. Richard glanced at it briefly. "Ah, I see the issue. This reservation was actually canceled earlier today." "Canceled? By whom?" Maya asked, surprised. "I certainly didn't cancel it." "I'm afraid I don't have that information," Richard replied, his tone cooler than it had been with the previous guest. "Sometimes our system does this. Technical glitches, you understand?" Maya didn't understand, but she remained calm. "All right, then let's make a new reservation. I still need the room for 3 nights." Richard tapped at his keyboard again, his mouth set in a thin line. "I'm terribly sorry, Ms. Johnson, but we appear to be fully booked. The conference has brought many visitors to town." Just then the glass doors swung open and a white couple walked in, pulling their luggage behind them. They approached the second receptionist at the desk. "Welcome to the Belmont Grand," the female receptionist greeted them warmly. "Do you have a reservation with us?" "No, actually," the man replied. We were hoping you might have a room available. For tonight? Let me check for you, the receptionist said, typing quickly. Oh, you're in luck. We have several rooms available, including a junior suite with a lovely view of the city. Would that work for you? Maya turned back to Richard, who had the decency to look uncomfortable. Several rooms available, she repeated, her voice still calm but with an edge of steel beneath it. Richard cleared his throat. Those must be different room categories. The system is quite complex. I see, Maya said, her eyes never leaving his face. And what room category was the couple just offered? I wouldn't know. That's my colleague's computer, Richard said stiffly. Maya nodded slowly. This wasn't the first time she'd experienced this kind of treatment, and it probably wouldn't be the last. But it never stopped being both painful and infuriating. May I speak with your manager, please? She asked. Richard hesitated, then picked up the phone. After a brief conversation, he put it down. The hotel manager will be with you shortly. While they waited, Maya noticed several staff members glancing in her direction. A young black woman behind the concierge desk caught her eye and gave her an almost imperceptible nod of understanding. 5 minutes later, a short woman with a tight blonde bun approached. Her name tag read, Patricia Henderson, Hotel Manager. I understand there's an issue with your reservation, Ms. she said, looking at Maya with a professionally blank expression. Johnson. Maya Johnson. And yes, there seems to be. Your colleague here tells me my confirmed reservation has mysteriously been canceled and that there are no rooms available. Yet I just witnessed another couple without a reservation being offered several options, including a suite. Patricia's smile didn't reach her eyes. There must be some miscommunication. We have certain rooms set aside for our loyalty program. Members, I am a platinum member of your loyalty program, Maya interrupted, pulling out her member card from her wallet. I've stayed at Belmont properties in Tokyo, London, and Singapore in the last year alone. The manager examined the card with barely concealed surprise. Even so, Ms. Johnson, there may be other factors. Some rooms are being renovated. Others are reserved for... Let's be clear about what's happening here, Maya said, her voice quiet but firm. I made a reservation. I received confirmation. I arrived on time. I'm a loyalty program member. And yet somehow, there are no rooms for me. While walk-in guests are being accommodated, what exactly is the other factor at play? Several people in the lobby had stopped to watch the exchange. Patricia's face flushed. I don't appreciate what you're implying, she said coldly. The Belmont Grand does not discriminate against any guests. I haven't implied anything, Maya replied. I'm simply stating facts, but since you brought it up, I'm curious. How many black guests are staying in your hotel right now? Patricia's lips thinned. We don't keep track of our guests by race, Ms. Johnson. That's a convenient answer, Maya said. She pulled out her phone. You know, I think I should document this conversation. For quality assurance purposes, of course. As she began to record, Patricia's demeanor changed instantly. There's no need for that, she said quickly. Look, I'm truly sorry for the confusion. Let me see what I can do for you. She went behind the counter and spoke quietly to Richard, who looked increasingly uncomfortable. After a moment, Patricia returned. It seems there was a system error, she said with a forced smile. We do have a room available after all. Not the presidential suite, unfortunately, but a very nice executive room. Maya looked at her steadily. And if I were to call the Belmont corporate office right now to discuss this system error, what would they tell me? Patricia's smile faltered. Ms. Johnson, we're trying to accommodate you. If you're not satisfied with what we're offering, perhaps you might be more comfortable at another hotel. The West Side Inn across town has very reasonable rates. The suggestion was clear. The West Side Inn was a budget hotel in a predominantly black neighborhood. Maya felt heat rise in her chest, but years of navigating corporate spaces as the only black woman in the room had taught her to control her reactions. Showing anger would only reinforce stereotypes and give them reason to dismiss her concerns. Instead, she straightened her designer jacket and smiled coolly. I think that's an excellent suggestion. I would indeed be more comfortable elsewhere. Somewhere that values all their guests equally. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Patricia, you should know that I'm the keynote speaker at the Tech Innovation Summit tomorrow. The same summit that has filled your hotel with guests. The same summit whose organizers booked 30 rooms in this hotel for their staff and speakers. She took out a business card and placed it on the counter. I'm also the CEO of Future Tech Solutions. Look us up. Patricia's face drained of color as she read the card. Maya picked up her bag. I'll be letting the conference organizers know about my experience here. I suspect they'll want to reconsider their venue choices in the future. As she walked toward the door, the young bellhop who had greeted her hurried over. Ms. Johnson, he said quietly. I'm really sorry about what happened. That wasn't right. Maya's expression softened. Thank you. What's your name? Tyler, ma'am. Well, Tyler, never let anyone make you feel small because of who you are. Remember that. He nodded earnestly. Yes, ma'am, and would you like me to call you a car? That would be helpful, thank you. As she waited outside, Maya's phone rang. It was Ling Chen, the conference organizer. Maya, how are you settling in at the hotel? Ling asked cheerfully. Funny. You should ask, Maya replied. I'm actually standing outside the Belmont right now, having just been turned away despite my confirmed reservation. What? That's outrageous. What happened? As Maya explained the situation, she watched through the glass doors as Patricia, the manager, was frantically making phone calls, her face panic-stricken. Richard was typing furiously at his computer. This is completely unacceptable, Ling fumed. I'm calling the hotel owner directly. He's a major sponsor of the conference. Don't worry about it tonight, Maya said. I'll find another place to stay. Absolutely not. Give me 15 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Maya hung up and took a deep breath of the cool evening air. The sun had set completely now and the city lights were coming on, creating a beautiful skyline. She thought about all the times in her life she'd faced discrimination, from being the only black girl in her advanced math classes, to being mistaken for the secretary in her own company meetings, to being followed by security guards in high-end stores even as she spent thousands. Success hadn't shielded her from racism. It had just changed how it manifested. But each time she had turned those experiences into fuel for her determination. And each time she had found a way to create meaningful change. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ling. Stay where you are. Owner is furious, coming personally to speak with you. Maya smiled to herself. She hadn't planned on causing a scene tonight. All she had wanted was to check into her room, review her presentation notes, and get a good night's sleep before her big speech. But maybe this was happening for a reason. Maybe this was an opportunity to shine a light on a problem that affected so many people who didn't have the platform she did. As Tyler brought her luggage back out, she tipped him generously. Thank you for your kindness, Tyler. Sometimes it's the small acts of decency that make all the difference. He smiled shyly. My mom always says that how you treat people when no one's watching shows who you really are. Your mom sounds like a wise woman, Maya replied. Hold on to that wisdom, it'll take you far. A sleek car pulled up to the curb, and a distinguished-looking man in his 60s stepped out. He looked stressed and slightly out of breath. Ms. Johnson? He called, walking quickly toward her. I'm Howard Phillips, the owner of the Belmont Grand. I just heard what happened, and I cannot begin to express how deeply sorry I am. Maya listened politely, but in her mind she was already thinking ahead. This wasn't just about one hotel or one incident. This was about systemic problems that needed systemic solutions. And if there was one thing Maya Johnson excelled at, it was solving difficult problems. As Howard Phillips continued his apologies and promises to make things right, Maya made a decision. This wouldn't be the end of the story. This would be just the beginning. Howard Phillips couldn't stop apologizing. The hotel owner was practically sweating through his expensive suit as he stood before Maya in the cooling night air. Ms. Johnson, this is completely unacceptable. I assure you, this does not reflect the values of the Belmont brand, he said, running a hand through his silver hair. Please, allow me to make this right. The presidential suite is absolutely available for you. Maya studied him carefully. His distress seemed genuine, but she wondered how much of it was about her treatment and how much was about her status. Would he have come rushing down if she had been any other black woman without a billion-dollar company attached to her name? "Mr. Phillips, I appreciate you coming to speak with me personally," she said. "But I think we both know this isn't an isolated incident." Howard's face fell. I want to believe that's not true." "Then you haven't been paying attention to your own hotels," Maya replied, not unkindly. "The manager didn't just accidentally lose my reservation. She suggested I stay at the West Side Inn because it would be more comfortable for someone like me." Howard closed his eyes briefly, as if in pain. "That is completely inexcusable. Patricia will be dealt with immediately." "Firing one person won't solve the problem," Maya said. "This is about culture, policies, and accountability." Before Howard could respond, a car pulled up to the curb. Ling Chen, the conference organizer, jumped out, her face flushed with anger. "Maya, I'm so sorry about this," she said, giving Maya a quick hug before turning to Howard. "Mr. Phillips, we have 30 rooms booked in your hotel for this conference. I'm seriously considering moving all of our people elsewhere." Howard paled. "Please, Ms. Chen, let's not be hasty. We're addressing the situation." While they talked, Maya noticed a small crowd had gathered in the lobby, watching through the glass doors. Among them was Tyler, the young bellhop, who gave her an encouraging nod. There was also a well-dressed woman discreetly recording the scene on her phone. Maya's own phone buzzed with notifications. She looked down to see that social media was already lighting up with the story. Someone had posted about the incident, and it was spreading quickly. Tech billionaire Maya Johnson denied room at Belmont Grand, current racism in hospitality. The post had hundreds of shares already, with comments pouring in. "Not surprised. Same thing happened to my husband last year at their Chicago location. I worked there for 6 months. The management has unofficial policies about which guests get the best rooms. Wait till they find out who she is." Maya put her phone away. This wasn't how she had wanted to spend the evening before her keynote address, but perhaps it was necessary. Sometimes change only happened when uncomfortable truths were brought to light. Howard was still trying to salvage the situation. "Ms. Johnson, please reconsider. I'll personally ensure your stay is perfect, free of charge, of course." Maya shook her head. "This isn't about money, Mr. Phillips." "Then what can I do?" he asked desperately. "Listen," Maya said simply. "Listen to your employees who've tried to report these issues. Listen to your guests who've experienced discrimination. Really listen and then commit to making real changes." She turned to Ling. "I think I will stay elsewhere tonight. Could you recommend somewhere?" Ling nodded. "The Grand Meridian downtown is excellent. I'll call them right now." As Ling made the call, Howard made one last attempt. "Ms. Johnson, I understand your position, but leaving won't solve anything. Stay, and help us address these problems directly." Maya considered his words. There was some merit to his argument, but she also knew that sometimes the most powerful statement was to walk away and take your business elsewhere. "Mr. Phillips, I'm giving my keynote speech tomorrow about how technology can create more equitable systems," she said. "I'd be happy to meet with you after that to discuss how the Belmont can improve. But tonight I need a place where I can rest and prepare without wondering if I'm truly welcome." Howard nodded in resignation. "I understand. I'll be at your speech tomorrow, and I would very much appreciate that meeting." Ling returned with good news. "The Grand Meridian has their ambassador suite available. They're sending a car right now." "Thank you, Ling," Maya said gratefully. As they waited, the woman who had been recording came outside. She approached cautiously. "Excuse me, Ms. Johnson. I'm Diane Powell from the Business Journal. I'm in town covering the tech conference." She held up her press badge. "Would you be willing to comment on what happened here tonight?" Maya thought carefully before responding. She had built her reputation on being measured and thoughtful, not reactive. But she also believed in using her platform to address injustice. "Mrs. Powell, what happened tonight is unfortunately not uncommon. Many people face similar treatment every day without the resources or platform to address it. I hope this incident can start a constructive conversation about ongoing discrimination in the hospitality industry and beyond. Diane nodded, taking notes. The Belmont Grand is part of Luxury Resorts International, correct? They've had several discrimination lawsuits in the past few years. I wasn't aware of that, Maya said, though she wasn't entirely surprised. Perhaps that's something worth looking into. A sleek black car pulled up and the driver stepped out. Ms. Johnson, I'm from the Grand Meridian. Thank you for coming, Maya said. She turned to Ling. I'll see you tomorrow morning for the pre-keynote briefing. 8 a.m. sharp, Ling confirmed. And Maya, you handled this with incredible grace. Maya smiled tiredly. Years of practice, unfortunately. After saying goodbye to Howard, who looked like he'd aged 10 years in the last hour, Maya settled into the back of the luxury car. As they drove away from the Belmont Grand, she felt a mix of emotions, frustration, weariness, but also a sense of purpose. Her phone rang. It was Jordan Taylor, her chief of staff. Maya, I just heard what happened. Are you okay? Jordan asked, concern evident in his voice. I'm fine, Jordan. Just another day in the life, Maya replied with a dry laugh. It's all over Twitter. The Belmont is getting absolutely roasted. Their stock is going to take a hit tomorrow. Maya sighed. That wasn't my intention. No, but maybe it needed to happen, Jordan said. Listen, I took the liberty of doing some quick research on Luxury Resorts International while you were dealing with all this. And? They're not in great shape financially, 3/4 of declining revenue. There were rumors of a potential buyout, but nothing concrete. Maya's mind started working. That's interesting. Who's their CEO? Robert Whitman. Old school hotel guy, been with the company for 30 years. Not exactly known for progressive leadership. Maya nodded to herself. An idea was forming, not one born of revenge, but of opportunity. Opportunity to create real change. Jordan, I want you to get me everything you can on LRI. Financials, corporate structure, leadership, past discrimination cases, everything. You thinking what I think you're thinking? Jordan asked, a note of excitement in his voice. Maybe. But first I need to focus on my keynote. Let's talk tomorrow after my speech. You got it, boss. By the way, I also called Nate at our PR firm. He's monitoring the situation and says to let him know if you want to release an official statement. Tell him not yet. I want to see how this plays out. After hanging up, Maya leaned back in the seat and closed her eyes. She thought about Tyler, the young bellhop who had shown her kindness. She thought about Patricia, the manager who had tried to turn her away. She thought about all the people who experienced discrimination without the power to fight back. By the time the car reached the Grand Meridian, Maya had the beginnings of a plan. Not just a response to tonight's incident, but something much bigger. The contrast between her reception at the Belmont and at the Grand Meridian couldn't have been starker. As soon as the car pulled up, the hotel manager himself was waiting outside. Ms. Johnson, welcome to the Grand Meridian, he said warmly. I'm Anthony Rivera, the general manager. We're honored to have you with us tonight. The lobby was just as luxurious as the Belmont's, but the atmosphere felt entirely different. Staff members smiled genuinely as she passed. At the front desk, the check-in process was smooth and efficient. We've prepared the ambassador suite for you, the receptionist said. And our chef wanted to know if you'd like anything special prepared for a late dinner. That's very thoughtful, Maya said, touched by the consideration. Just a light salad and some fruit would be perfect, thank you. Of course. And what time would you like breakfast served tomorrow? 6:30 if that's not too early. I have an important speech to give. The receptionist smiled. The Tech Innovation Summit, right? We're all looking forward to it. Several of our staff are attending. As Maya was escorted to her suite, she couldn't help but notice the diversity among the hotel staff. People of different races, ages, and backgrounds worked together seamlessly. This wasn't by accident. It was the result of intentional hiring, practices, and an inclusive work culture. The suite was spacious and elegant with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. A handwritten welcome note and a basket of fresh fruit waited on the coffee table. Once alone, Maya kicked off her heels and sat on the plush sofa. Her phone showed dozens of missed calls and hundreds of new messages. The story had blown up even, more than she'd realized. She opened Twitter to find that Maya Johnson experience and Belmont discrimination were trending. People were sharing their own stories of discrimination at hotels, restaurants, and stores across the country. Some were calling for boycotts of all Belmont properties. Maya felt a responsibility to address the situation thoughtfully. She posted a brief statement. "Thank you for the outpouring of support. What happened tonight at the Belmont Grand reflects broader issues that many face daily. I'm safe and well at another hotel. Let's channel this energy into positive change. More tomorrow, after my keynote at the Tech Summit." Next, she opened her email to find a message from Howard Phillips sent just minutes ago. "Ms. Johnson, I want to reiterate my sincere apologies for your experience at our hotel. Upon investigation, I've discovered other concerning incidents that were never brought to my attention. While this doesn't excuse what happened, it has opened my eyes to serious problems within our organization. I've placed Patricia Henderson on immediate leave pending a full review. More importantly, I'm committing to a comprehensive audit of our policies and practices. I very much look forward to our discussion tomorrow. Your insights would be invaluable as we work to address these issues. Respectfully, Howard Phillips." Maya read the email twice. It seemed Howard was genuinely shaken by tonight's events and possibly ready to make real changes. Whether those changes would be superficial or substantial remained to be seen. Her salad arrived, along with a pot of chamomile tea. As she ate, Maya reviewed her keynote speech for tomorrow. The title was AI for Everyone, Building Equitable Technology in an Unequal World. After tonight's experience, certain passages took on new significance. She made a few edits, adding a personal touch that she had previously kept out of her professional presentations. Sometimes the most powerful way to illustrate a point was through personal experience. After finishing her light meal, Maya took a long shower, letting the hot water wash away the tension of the evening. As she prepared for bed, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Ms. Johnson, this is Tyler from the Belmont. Hope it's okay that I got your number from the reservation system. Just wanted you to know that a bunch of us staff members are behind you 100%. What happened tonight was wrong. Some of us have tried to report similar incidents before but were ignored or silenced. Thank you for standing up. It means a lot." Maya smiled and texted back, "Thank you, Tyler. That means a lot to me too. Keep standing up for what's right. Change is coming." She set her phone aside and climbed into bed, mentally preparing for tomorrow. Her keynote would now carry even greater significance. It wasn't just about the future of technology anymore. It was about using that technology and her position of influence to create a more just world. As she drifted off to sleep, Maya's mind was already working on phase 2 of the plan that had begun to form in the car. Luxury Resorts International might soon find itself facing something much more consequential than a PR crisis. The next morning, Maya woke before her alarm. She felt refreshed and focused, the events of the previous night only strengthening her resolve. She dressed carefully in a bold red suit, a color of power and confidence, and added her mother's pearl earrings for a touch of personal strength. Breakfast arrived promptly at 6:30, fresh fruit, yogurt, whole grain toast, and coffee just as she liked it, strong with a splash of almond milk. As she ate, Maya reviewed her presentation one last time, making a few final adjustments to incorporate subtle references to her experience without letting it overshadow her main message. At 7:45, a car from the conference arrived to take her to the venue. The driver was professional and courteous, making pleasant conversation without being intrusive. "Big day today, Ms. Johnson," he said as they drove through the morning traffic. "Indeed it is," Maya replied with a smile. "Bigger than I had originally planned." When they arrived at the convention center, Ling was waiting at the entrance, clipboard in hand and worry on her face. Maya, how are you feeling? Are you ready? The hall is already filling up, and there are more media outlets than we expected. Word about last night has spread like wildfire. I'm ready, Ling, Maya assured her. Sometimes the universe has a way of making sure important conversations happen exactly when they need to. As they walked through the backstage area, several people stopped to express their support. Tech industry leaders, conference staff, even the catering crew, all had heard about the incident at the Belmont. In the green room, Jordan was waiting with a tablet in hand and determination in his eyes. Morning, boss. You look ready to conquer the world, Maya laughed. One step at a time, Jordan. Did you get the information I asked for? He handed her the tablet. Everything we could find on short notice. Luxury Resorts International is more vulnerable than we thought. They've been hiding their financial troubles from shareholders, but they're on shaky ground. Maya quickly scanned through the documents. Financial reports, news articles, internal memos that somehow Jordan had managed to obtain. What caught her eye was a section on the company's corporate structure. Their ownership is more fragmented than I expected, she mused. That could work in our favor. What exactly are you planning? Jordan asked. Maya handed back the tablet. Let's just say that by this time next year, the hotel industry might look very different. She checked her watch. It's almost time. Is everything set for the announcement after my main speech? All set, Jordan confirmed. The press release is ready to go out the moment you give the word. Maya nodded, a quiet determination in her eyes. Then let's go change the world. As she walked toward the stage, Maya could hear the buzz of the packed auditorium. 3,000 industry leaders, investors, journalists, and tech enthusiasts waited to hear her speak. Among them, she knew, was Howard Phillips, probably still hoping to salvage his hotel's reputation. Little did he know that Maya Johnson had spent her career turning obstacles into opportunities. And what had happened at the Belmont Grand was about to become the biggest opportunity yet, not just for her, but for creating lasting change in an industry long overdue for transformation. The stage lights were bright as the conference host introduced her. The audience erupted in applause, low, ouder and more sustained than usual. They had heard the story. They were waiting to see how she would address it. Maya took a deep breath and stepped into the spotlight, her red suit brilliant under the stage lights, her smile confident and genuine. This wasn't just another keynote speech. This was the beginning of something much bigger. Maya's keynote speech at the Tech Innovation Summit was a triumph. For nearly an hour, she held the audience spellbound as she outlined her vision for how artificial intelligence could transform healthcare, education, and public services in ways that benefited everyone, not just the privileged few. She only briefly mentioned the incident at the Belmont Grand, saying simply, "Last night reminded me that no matter how far we've come as a society, we still have a long way to go. And technology alone cannot solve social problems, but it can be a powerful tool in the hands of people committed to creating change." The standing ovation lasted nearly 5 minutes. As Maya left the stage, she was immediately surrounded by well-wishers, reporters, and potential investors. She handled each conversation with grace and focus, but her mind was already moving to the next phase of her plan. Jordan appeared at her elbow, smoothly extracting her from a persistent journalist. "The private room is ready," he said quietly. "And our legal team is on the video call." Maya nodded. "Let's go." They slipped away from the main conference hall and into a secluded meeting room where 3 people were waiting. Nia Washington, Maya's chief legal counsel, Kevin Patel, her financial advisor, and surprisingly Tyler, the young bellhop from the Belmont. "Tyler," Maya said warmly, "thank you for coming." The young man looked nervous but determined. "Thank you for inviting me, Ms. Johnson. I almost got fired for texting you last night. My manager saw me using my phone during work hours." "Almost?" Maya asked. "Mr. Phillips intervened," Tyler explained. "He's been checking on a lot of things at the hotel since last night." Maya smiled. "Good, that's a start." She gestured to the chairs around the table. "Please, everyone, let's sit. We have important things to discuss." On the large screen at the end of the room, The faces of Maya's legal team appeared. 3 serious-looking attorneys from one of the country's top law firms. "Ms. Johnson," said Elaine Chu, the lead attorney. "We've reviewed the information you sent this morning. You're right about Luxury Resorts International's vulnerability. Their stock is already down 12% today, and that's just from the bad publicity. If their financial issues become public knowledge, they could face a serious crisis." Maya nodded. "That's what I suspected, but this isn't about taking advantage of their weakness. It's about creating an opportunity for real change." She turned to Tyler. "That's why I asked you here. You've worked at the Belmont for how long?" "Almost 2 years," he replied. "And during that time, have you witnessed other incidents like what happened to me last night?" Tyler's expression grew serious. "Many times. It's not always as obvious, but there's definitely a pattern. Black guests get the rooms with the worst views. Middle Eastern families get randomly selected for additional security deposits. Latinx guests get asked for ID even when white guests don't. Has anyone ever reported these issues?" Tyler nodded vigorously. "Several of us have tried. There's supposed to be an anonymous reporting system, but somehow management always figures out who complained, and those employees suddenly get the worst shifts or have their hours cut." Maya turned back to the screen. "Elaine, does this strengthen our position?" The attorney nodded. "Absolutely. If we can document a pattern of discrimination, it creates significant legal leverage." Kevin Patel, Maya's financial advisor, spoke up. "The financial angle is equally promising. LRI has been hiding their debt problems from shareholders through some creative accounting. They're much more vulnerable than they appear. And how much would it cost to acquire a controlling interest?" Maya asked. Kevin smiled. "A lot less than you might think. Their stock price was already weak before this incident. With today's drop, and what will likely be a continued slide, we could make a significant move for around $200 million. Maya nodded thoughtfully. "That's well within my range, especially if we structure it properly." She looked around the room. "Let me be clear about my intentions. This isn't about revenge or even about making a profitable investment, though I believe it will be. This is about creating systemic change in an industry that has allowed discrimination to persist for far too long." Nia Washington, who had been quietly taking notes, looked up. "What exactly are you proposing, Maya?" "A complete transformation," Maya replied. "New leadership, new policies, new training programs, new accountability measures. The Belmont and all LRI properties would become industry leaders in diversity and inclusion, not just in words, but in actions." Tyler's eyes widened. "You're going to buy the entire hotel chain?" Maya smiled. "Not immediately and not openly. That would drive up the price and might create unnecessary resistance. We need to be strategic." She turned to Jordan. "What did you find out about their corporate structure?" Jordan pulled up a chart on his tablet. LRI is publicly traded, but about 30% of the shares are held by the founding family, the Whitfields. Another 20% is held by various institutional investors. The remaining 50% is publicly traded. "And we would need how much for effective control?" Maya asked. "With the current distribution, acquiring 25 to 30% would likely give us the leverage we need, especially if we can get some of the institutional investors on our side." Maya turned back to her legal team on the screen. "I want to move forward, but I need to know we're on solid legal ground. The last thing I want is to be accused of exploiting the situation or conducting some sort of revenge takeover." Elaine Chu nodded. "We understand. We'll structure this as a standard investment opportunity triggered by market conditions, which is entirely truthful. We'll also build in strong ethical commitments from the beginning, making it clear that this is about improving the company, not dismantling it." "Good," Maya said. "And I want complete confidentiality. No one outside this room knows about this plan until we're ready to move." Everyone nodded in agreement. "Tyler," Maya said, turning to the young man, "would you be willing to help us gather more information? We need to document the pattern of discrimination, and we need to identify employees who might be willing to speak up if they had protection." Tyler sat up straighter. "Absolutely, Ms. Johnson. There are at least a dozen people I can think of who would be willing to talk if they knew something would actually happen. They'll need to be discreet, Maya cautioned. This won't work if the company realizes what's happening and has time to cover their tracks. I understand, Tyler assured her. We can be careful. Maya looked around the room. Then we have our assignments. Jordan, work with Kevin on the financial strategy. Nia, coordinate with Elaine's team on the legal approach. Tyler, start documenting incidents and identifying potential witnesses, but be very careful. She checked her watch. I need to get back to the conference. I have a panel discussion in 20 minutes and then that meeting with Howard Phillips. Kevin raised an eyebrow. You're still meeting with him? Maya nodded. Absolutely. He needs to believe that I'm open to his proposed solutions. It will make what comes next much easier if he doesn't see me as an adversary. As they prepared to leave, Tyler asked, Ms. Johnson, how long do you think this will take? Maya considered the question. The initial investment, probably a few weeks. The complete transformation? That could take years. But it will happen, Tyler. I promise you that. The young man smiled. I believe you. And thank you. Not just for standing up last night, but for doing something that will help a lot of people. Maya put a hand on his shoulder. Sometimes being in a position of power means using that power to lift others up. Remember that if you ever find yourself in such a position. Back at the conference, Maya seamlessly transitioned into her professional role, participating in a panel discussion on the future of AI ethics. No one watching would have guessed that she had just set in motion a plan to acquire a major hotel chain. After the panel, she made her way to a private meeting room where Howard Phillips was waiting. The hotel owner looked like he hadn't slept, his normally impeccable appearance slightly rumpled. Ms. Johnson, he said, standing quickly as she entered. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. Maya took a seat across from him. Mr. Phillips, I'm interested to hear what steps you've taken since last night. Howard pulled out a folder. I've placed Patricia Henderson on administrative leave pending a full investigation. I've also initiated a review of all our hiring and training practices. That's a start, Maya acknowledged. But I'm more interested in the culture that allowed this to happen in the first place. One person didn't create this problem, and removing one person won't solve it. Howard sighed heavily. You're right, of course. I've been thinking about this all night. The truth is, I've been so focused on the financial aspects of running the hotels that I've lost touch with what's happening on the ground. That's often how these problems persist, Maya said. The people at the top don't see what's happening at the point of service. What would you recommend? Howard asked, seeming genuinely interested in her answer. Maya leaned forward. First, you need a comprehensive audit of why our practices, not conducted by your own HR department, but by an independent firm with expertise in diversity and inclusion. Second, you need meaningful accountability measures that are transparent to both employees and guests. Third, you need to diversify your leadership team. And finally, you need to create safe channels for employees to report issues without fear of retaliation. Howard took notes as she spoke, nodding occasionally. These are excellent suggestions. Would you be willing to recommend a firm for the audit? I can have my chief of staff send you some names, Maya replied. Thank you, Howard said. And I know this might be asking a lot, but would you consider being part of our advisory board as we implement these changes? Your perspective would be invaluable. Maya kept her expression neutral, though inwardly she was pleased at how perfectly this aligned with her larger plan. I'd need to know more about what that would entail, but I'm open to discussing it. Howard looked relieved. That's more than I could have hoped for after last night's incident. I want you to know that I'm truly committed to making the Belmont a place where everyone feels welcome. I believe you mean that, Maya said carefully. But meaningful change requires more than good intentions. It requires sustained commitment, resources, and accountability. All of which I'm prepared to provide, Howard insisted. Maya stood, signaling the end of the meeting. Let's stay in touch, Mr. Phillips. I look forward to seeing these initial steps translated into action. As Howard left, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Jordan. Everything is in motion. Legal team is drafting the initial documents. Financial strategy is taking shape. How did the meeting go? Maya texted back. Perfectly. He has no idea what's coming. The rest of the conference passed in a blur of speeches, networking, and strategic conversations. Maya was approached by countless people expressing support over the Belmont incident, including several who shared similar experiences at other high-end hotels. By the time she returned to the Grand Meridian that evening, Maya was exhausted but energized. The plan was coming together even more smoothly than she had anticipated. In her suite, she found a gift basket waiting with a note from the hotel management. Ms. Johnson, it is our honor to have you as our guest. Please let us know if there is anything else we can do to make your stay more comfortable. The contrast between this treatment and her experience at the Belmont couldn't have been more stark. But Maya knew that the difference wasn't just about how one hotel treated a wealthy black woman versus another. It was about systems, policies, and culture, all of which could be changed with the right approach. She kicked off her heels and called, Jordan on video. Give me the update, she said as his face appeared on the screen. It's all moving forward, Jordan reported. The legal team has the framework for the acquisition strategy. Kevin's working on securing the capital, and Tyler has already connected us with 4 other Belmont employees willing to document their experiences. Any potential roadblocks? Jordan hesitated. One possible issue. Robert Whitman, the CEO of LRI, has a reputation for fighting dirty when challenged. If he gets wind of what we're doing, he might try to block it or discredit you. Maya considered. This. Then we need to make sure our approach is completely above board, and that our intentions are clear from the beginning. This isn't a hostile takeover. It's an investment in positive transformation. Speaking of transformation, Jordan said, I've been thinking about what we do once we have control. Are you planning to keep the current management structure? Maya shook her head. No. We'll need new leadership at every level. People who share our vision for what these hotels can become. And the Belmont brand itself? Keep it or change it. Keep it, but redefine it, Maya said firmly. Running away from the name would be like admitting defeat. Instead, we transform what the name represents. They continued discussing strategy well into the night, refining the plan and anticipating potential challenges. By the time they ended the call, it was past midnight. Maya stood by the window of her suite looking out at the city lights. She thought about her parents, who had taught her that when faced with injustice, you had 3 choices: accept it, complain about it, or change it. They had always encouraged the third option, no matter how difficult it might seem. Her phone buzzed with an email notification. It was from Tyler, containing documents he had managed to obtain from the Belmont's internal systems, records of guest complaints that had been systematically buried, employee reports of discrimination that had been ignored, and even directives from management about how to distribute guests of different backgrounds throughout the hotel. It was more than enough to establish a pattern. It was enough to force significant changes even without the acquisition plan. But Maya knew that legal action alone wouldn't create lasting transformation. For that, she needed control. She forwarded the email to her legal team with a simple message. This confirms we're on the right path. Move forward as planned. Over the next 3 days, as the conference continued, Maya maintained her professional schedule while her team worked behind the scenes. She spoke on panels, met with potential investors for her tech company, and even gave interviews about the future of AI and healthcare, all without hinting at the major move she was orchestrating in an entirely different industry. On her final day in the city, Maya met again with Howard Phillips. The hotel owner was eager to show her the initial steps he had taken, including hiring a diversity consultant and setting up an anonymous reporting system for employees. These are positive steps, Maya acknowledged. But they're just the beginning. I understand, Howard said earnestly. This is a long-term commitment, which is why I'd like to formalize your role as an advisor. Our board meets quarterly, and having your voice at the table would be invaluable. Maya smiled. Let's discuss that in a few weeks. I want to see how these initial changes take hold first. Little did Howard know that within those few weeks, the entire ownership structure of his company might be very different. As Maya prepared to leave the city, Tyler came to say goodbye. The young man had proven to be an invaluable ally, providing crucial information while maintaining perfect discretion. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now," Maya said, "we wait for the right moment. Keep documenting everything, but be careful. And Tyler? Thank you. Your courage is going to help create change that affects thousands of people." Tyler stood a little straighter. "My grandmother always said that change doesn't happen until someone decides to make it happen. I'm glad that someone is you, Ms. Johnson." Maya smiled. "Not just me, all of us, working together." As her car took her to the airport, Maya reflected on how a simple hotel check-in had evolved into something much larger. What had started as an ugly incident of discrimination was being transformed into an opportunity for systemic change. Her phone rang. It was Elaine Chu from the legal team. "Ms. Johnson, we've finished our due diligence. Everything is in place. We can begin acquiring shares as early as next week if you're ready." Maya looked out at the city skyline one last time. "I'm ready," she said. "Let's change an industry." 2 weeks after the incident at the Belmont Grand, Maya sat in her office overlooking the San Francisco skyline. The wall of windows offered a stunning view of the bay, but her attention was fixed on the video conference displayed on her large monitor. "The stock price has dropped another 8% since yesterday," Kevin Patel, her financial advisor, reported. "LRI is trying to keep the discrimination stories out of the press, but it's not working. Too many people are coming forward." On the screen, Maya could see Kevin along with Elaine Chu, her lead attorney, and Jordan, who was taking notes. "Where do we stand with acquisitions?" Maya asked. Elaine answered, "We've quietly acquired nearly 15% of the available shares. The institutional investors don't know it's you behind the purchases. We're working through the shell companies." "As planned," Maya nodded. "And the Whitfield family? Any reaction from them?" "Not yet," Jordan said. "They seem to be focused on the PR crisis, not on the stock movements. But that won't last long. Market analysts are already noting the unusual trading patterns." "Then we need to move faster," Maya decided. "Kevin, how quickly can we get to 20%? Kevin consulted his tablet. "With the current strategy? About 10 days. But if we're more aggressive, we could do it in 5. The risk is that a more aggressive approach will drive up the price and alert the Whitfields." Maya thought for a moment. "Let's split the difference, accelerate, but not so much that we trigger alarm bells. I want to be at 20% in 7 days." "And then?" Elaine asked. "Then we go public with our intentions," Maya said firmly. "No more hiding in the shadows. We make a clear statement about our vision for transforming the company." Jordan raised an eyebrow. "That's sooner than we originally planned. Are you sure?" Maya nodded. "The momentum is with us now. Every day, more employees and guests are speaking out about discrimination they've experienced. The company's attempts to contain the damage are only making it worse. This is the perfect time to position ourselves as the solution." "There's something else you should know," Elaine said, her expression serious. "Robert Whitman has been making calls to major shareholders trying to shore up support. He's painting this as a temporary PR problem that will blow over." "Is it working?" Maya asked. "Not really," Elaine replied. "Most of the institutional investors care more about the bottom line than loyalty to Whitman, and the bottom line isn't looking good. 4 consecutive quarters of declining revenue and now this PR disaster." Maya smiled slightly. "Then let's proceed as planned. Kevin, accelerate the acquisitions. Elaine, prepare the public statement for when we hit 20%. Jordan, I want you to set up meetings with the 3 largest institutional shareholders. It's time to get them on our side." After the call ended, Maya swiveled her chair to look out at the city. In the 2 weeks since the incident, she'd thrown herself into this project with the same intensity she brought to her tech company. What had started as a response to personal discrimination had evolved into something much larger, A chance to create real, systemic change in an industry that had ignored these problems for too long. Her phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. More? Documents coming your way. Found internal emails from Patricia Henderson, the manager who turned you away, to other hotels in the chain, advising them on guest distribution practices. It's worse than we thought. Maya texted back. Good work. Send everything to Elaine's team. She was about to put her phone down when it rang. The caller ID showed Howard Phillips. Mr. Phillips, she answered. How are things at the Belmont? Challenging, to be honest, Howard replied, sounding tired. We've implemented all the changes we discussed. The anonymous reporting system, the diversity consultant, the policy reviews. But we're still dealing with the fallout from that night. These changes take time, Maya said diplomatically. Cultural transformation doesn't happen overnight. That's actually why I'm calling, Howard said. Our board is meeting next week to discuss the company's direction, and I'd like you to attend as my special advisor. Your perspective would be invaluable, especially now. Maya silently raised an eyebrow. This was an unexpected opportunity. I'm interested, she said carefully. Can you send me the details? Of course. And Maya? Thank you. I know you have every reason to want nothing to do with us after what happened, but your willingness to help us become better means a lot. After hanging up, Maya immediately called Jordan. You're not going to believe this, she said when he answered. Howard Phillips just invited me to attend the LRI board meeting next week as his special advisor. Jordan laughed. That's perfect. By then we'll be close to our 20% target. You'll be in the room when they realize what's happening. Exactly, Maya said. But we need to be strategic about this. I want our public statement ready before that meeting. When they realize I'm not just there to give diversity advice but to announce a major ownership stake, it will change the entire dynamic. I'm on it, Jordan assured her. This is getting more interesting by the day. Over the next 5 days, Maya divided her attention between running her tech company and orchestrating the LRI acquisition. Her team worked tirelessly, acquiring shares at a measured but steady pace while gathering more evidence of systemic discrimination throughout the hotel chain. Tyler had become an invaluable ally, coordinating with employees at various Belmont properties who were eager to share their experiences once they knew someone was actually listening. The picture that emerged was disturbing but not surprising. A corporate culture that tolerated and sometimes encouraged discriminatory practices, managers who were rewarded for catering to wealthy white guests at the expense of others, and a leadership team that buried complaints rather than addressing them. By the time Maya boarded her private jet to attend the board meeting, her team had acquired just over 18% of LRI's shares, not quite the 20% they'd aimed for, but enough to make a significant statement. The press release is ready to go, Jordan said as they flew across the country. We've scheduled it for tomorrow at 9 a.m. right in the middle of the board meeting. Maya reviewed the document on her tablet. It was straightforward and powerful. Future Tech Investments, a subsidiary of Future Tech Solutions led by CEO Maya Johnson, announces the acquisition of a significant minority stake in Luxury Resorts International, LRI. This strategic investment represents a commitment to transforming the hospitality industry through innovative leadership, inclusive policies, and forward-thinking business practices. Ms. Johnson envisions LRI becoming the industry standard for excellence in both guest experience and workplace culture. It's good, she said, direct but not confrontational. Did we include the quote about my personal experience? Jordan nodded. It's in the background section, framed exactly as we discussed, as the catalyst that brought these wider issues to your attention, not as a personal vendetta. Perfect. And the institutional investors? Any progress there? Better than expected, Jordan said with a smile. Blackwood Capital is ready to support us. They control almost 8% of the shares, which would put us over 25% when combined with ours. That's enough to demand board seats. Maya nodded, satisfied. And the other two? Still on the fence, but leaning our way. They're concerned about Whitman's leadership, but not ready to openly oppose him yet. That's fine. We don't need them immediately, Maya said. Once we announce our stake and our vision, others will follow. The jet landed at a private airfield, outside New York, where a car was waiting to take them to their hotel, the Four Seasons, not the Belmont. Maya had considered staying at the Belmont for the symbolic value, but decided against it. This wasn't about creating drama. It was about executing a carefully crafted plan. That evening, she received a call from Howard Phillips. "Maya, I'm so glad you're in town. I was hoping we could meet for breakfast before the board meeting tomorrow to discuss strategy." "That sounds good," Maya agreed. "Let's meet at 7:30 at my hotel." "Perfect. And Maya, the board is nervous. The stock price has been falling, and there are rumors of a possible takeover attempt. Your presence will help reassure them that we're taking the right steps to address our problems." Maya kept her voice neutral. "I'm happy to share my perspective. Howard, see you tomorrow." After hanging up, she turned to Jordan with a raised eyebrow. "Rumors of a takeover attempt? It seems word is getting out." "Not surprising," Jordan replied. "We've been careful, but it's impossible to acquire this many shares without someone noticing. The question is whether they know it's you." "We'll find out tomorrow," Maya said. "Let's get some rest. It's going to be an interesting day." The next morning, Howard arrived at Maya's hotel looking harried. His normally impeccable appearance was slightly rumpled, and there were dark circles under his eyes. "Thank you for meeting me," he said as they sat down in a quiet corner of the restaurant. "Things have gotten more complicated since we last spoke." "Oh?" Maya said, taking a sip of her coffee. Howard leaned forward. "Someone's been buying up LRI stock. A lot of it. Robert Whitman is convinced it's a hostile takeover attempt, possibly by one of our competitors. The board meeting today is going to be tense." "And how does this change your plans for addressing the discrimination issues?" Maya asked calmly. Howard sighed. "That's the problem. Whitman wants to put all that on the back burner while we deal with this financial threat. He says we need to focus on reassuring shareholders, not airing our dirty laundry." Maya frowned. "That's exactly the wrong approach. The discrimination issues aren't separate from your financial problems. They're contributing to them. Sweeping them under the rug will only make things worse." "I agree completely," Howard said earnestly, "which is why I need you there today. Your voice carries weight. If you tell the board that addressing these issues is essential to the company's future, they'll listen." "I'll certainly make that case," Maya promised, knowing that in a few hours, her influence would be far greater than Howard realized. As they walked into LRI's corporate headquarters, Maya felt a sense of calm determination. The modern glass and steel building in Midtown Manhattan projected an image of success and stability that belied the company's internal troubles. In the elevator, Howard briefed her on the board members they were about to meet. Robert Whitman, the CEO, Elizabeth Whitfield representing the founding family, and 6 other directors, most of them from financial or real estate backgrounds. Not a very diverse group, Maya observed. Howard had the grace to look embarrassed. "No, it's not. That's one of the things I hope to change." The boardroom was elegant but austere, with a long mahogany table and high-backed leather chairs. When Maya entered with Howard, the conversations around the table stopped abruptly. Robert Whitman, a tall man in his 60s with silver hair and a perpetual frown, stood up. "Howard, we're about to begin a sensitive discussion. Is it appropriate to have an outsider present?" "Maya Johnson is here at my invitation," Howard said firmly. "As you know, she's been advising us on our diversity and inclusion initiatives." Elizabeth Whitfield, a thin woman with perfectly styled blonde hair, peered at Maya. "You're the woman from the incident at our New York property, aren't you?" "Yes, I am," Maya replied calmly. "Though I prefer to be known for my work as the CEO of Future Tech Solutions." That caused a stir around the table. Several board members whispered to each other, clearly recognizing the name of her company. Whitman's frown deepened. "Well, Ms. Johnson, while we appreciate your feedback on your experience, this meeting concerns pressing financial matters." Perhaps Howard didn't explain. "I understand completely," Maya interrupted smoothly. "You're concerned about the recent decline in your stock price and the unusual trading activity. I think I can offer some insight on that." As well, Whitman's eyes narrowed. What exactly do you mean? Before Maya could respond, the door opened and a young executive rushed in, heading straight for Whitman. He whispered something urgently in the CEO's ear. Whitman's face went from red to white in seconds. He stared at Maya with dawning comprehension. "It's you," he said. "You're behind the share purchases." Every head in the room swiveled toward Maya, who smiled calmly. "Yes, Mr. Whitman. Through my investment firm, I've acquired approximately 18% of LRI's outstanding shares over the past 2 weeks." The room erupted in chaos. Elizabeth Whitfield demanded to know if this was legal. 2 board members began frantically checking their phones for stock updates. Howard Phillips stared at Maya in shock. Whitman slammed his hand on the table. "This is outrageous. You're using one isolated incident to launch a hostile takeover." Maya remained perfectly composed. "There's nothing hostile about it, Mr. Whitman. I'm investing in what I believe could be an excellent company with the right leadership and the right values." "The right leadership?" Whitman sputtered. "Are you suggesting—" "I'm suggesting," Maya cut in, "that LRI has both operational and cultural problems that need to be addressed. The discrimination I experienced wasn't isolated. It was symptomatic of systemic issues throughout your organization, issues that you've consistently ignored or covered up." She opened her tablet and slid it toward the center of the table. "This contains documented evidence of discriminatory practices at 12 different Belmont properties over the past 3 years. Complaints that were buried, employees who were silenced, and policies that encouraged treating guests differently based on race." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. One of the board members, a distinguished-looking man with gray hair, reached for the tablet. "May I?" he asked. When Maya nodded, he began scrolling through the documents, his expression growing increasingly grim. "Robert," he said finally, "if even half of this is accurate, we have a serious problem, one that goes well beyond PR." "It's a fabrication," Whitman insisted. "A ploy to justify her takeover attempt." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Every document there can be verified, every incident documented, every witness identified. You can fight this in court if you want. But I don't think your shareholders will appreciate the prolonged negative publicity." Howard, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "Maya, I invited you here in good faith. Why didn't you tell me about this?" "Because I needed to see if you were serious about making changes, Howard," Maya replied. "Your intentions seem genuine, but intentions aren't enough. This company needs new leadership and a complete cultural transformation." Elizabeth Whitfield leaned forward. "And you think you should be that new leadership? Because of one bad experience at one of our hotels?" "No," Maya said firmly. "Not because of my experience, but because of my track record. I built a multi-billion-dollar company from the ground up. I transformed an entire industry through innovation and inclusive practices, and I have a vision for how LRI could become the industry leader in both guest experience and workplace culture." As if on cue, phones around the table began to buzz. The press release had gone out, announcing Future Tech Investment's significant stake in LRI and Maya's vision for transforming the company. The board member who had been reviewing the evidence looked up from his phone. "She's gone public with the investment. And our stock is actually up 3% on the news." That caused another stir around the table. Even Elizabeth Whitfield looked intrigued. Whitman was not giving up. "This is still a hostile action. The Whitfield family controls 30% of this company. We will fight this." "You could," Maya acknowledged. "Or we could work together to save a company that's been declining under your leadership for 4 consecutive quarters. A company facing potential class action lawsuits for discrimination if these documents become public. A company that could be great again, with the right vision." She turned to address the entire board. "I'm not here to destroy LRI. I'm here to transform it, to make it more profitable and more equitable, to create a hospitality brand that truly welcomes everyone and treats all of its employees with dignity." The distinguished board member who had reviewed the evidence nodded slowly. "I think we should hear Ms. Johnson out. Clearly she's done her homework, and frankly, our current strategy isn't working." For the next hour, Maya outlined her vision, for LRI. She spoke of innovative technologies that could improve the guest experience while reducing costs. She described training programs that would create a more inclusive culture. She presented financial projections showing how addressing these issues would actually improve the bottom line in the long run. Throughout her presentation, she was careful to frame this as a partnership, not a takeover. She acknowledged the company's history and the Whitfield family's legacy, while making it clear that the future required new approaches. By the time she finished, the mood in the room had shifted. Several board members were nodding thoughtfully. Even Elizabeth Whitfield seemed less hostile, though Robert Whitman remained stone-faced. "You've given us a lot to think about, Ms. Johnson," said the distinguished board member. "I suggest we take a short recess to consider your proposal." As the board members filed out, Howard pulled Maya aside. "You could have told me," he said, looking hurt. "Would you have supported this approach if I had?" Maya asked. Howard thought for a moment. "Probably not. I would have tried to find a middle ground that wouldn't have threatened Robert's position. And that middle ground wouldn't have created real change," Maya said gently. "Sometimes disruption is necessary for transformation." When the board reconvened 30 minutes later, it was clear that alliances had shifted. The distinguished board member, who Maya had learned was James Watkins, a respected finance professor, spoke first. "Ms. Johnson has raised serious concerns about both our business practices and our company culture. Concerns that, I believe, merit immediate action. I move that we form a special committee to work with Ms. Johnson on addressing these issues, with the understanding that significant leadership changes may be necessary." Elizabeth Whitfield surprisingly seconded the motion. "While I'm not thrilled with how this has unfolded," she said with a pointed look at Maya, "I cannot ignore the evidence presented today. My family's name is on these hotels, and I won't have it associated with discrimination or mistreatment of any kind." Whitman looked betrayed. "Elizabeth, you can't seriously be considering this." "I am, Robert," she replied coolly. "The company has been struggling under your leadership even before this crisis. Perhaps it's time for fresh perspectives." The vote was 6-2 in favor of forming the special committee, with only Whitman and one loyal board member opposing. The meeting adjourned. Maya felt a sense of quiet satisfaction. This was just the beginning, but it was a significant beginning. The path to transformation had been opened. Outside the boardroom, Jordan was waiting with a triumphant smile. "It worked. The stock is up 5% now on news of your investment. The market likes your vision." "It's a start," Maya said. "But we have a lot of work ahead of us." James Watkins approached them. "Ms. Johnson, I've been appointed to chair the special committee. We'd like to begin meetings as soon as possible." "I'm ready when you are," Maya replied. "And I have some ideas about who should be included in those discussions." As they walked out of LRI headquarters, Maya's phone buzzed with a message from Tyler. "Just saw the news. Is it really happening?" She texted back, "It's happening, change is coming. Are you ready to be part of it?" His reply came instantly. "More than ready." Maya smiled as she stepped into the sunlight. What had begun as a painful experience of discrimination had evolved into an opportunity to create lasting change. Not just for one hotel or one company, but potentially for an entire industry. The real work was just beginning. 6 months later, Maya stood in the grand ballroom of the Belmont Grand, the very hotel that had once turned her away. The space had been transformed for tonight's event, with elegant decorations in deep blues and golds. A banner stretched across the back wall. LRI Renewal, celebrating a new beginning. The room was filled with people, hotel employees from across the country, industry leaders, investors, and media. At the center of it all was Maya, dressed in a stunning white suit that contrasted beautifully with her dark skin. She radiated confidence and purpose as she moved through the crowd, greeting people warmly. Tyler, no longer a bellhop but now the newly appointed director of guest experience training, approached with a wide smile. "Ms. Johnson? Sorry, Maya?" He corrected himself. She had been insisting that he use her first name for months, but old habits died hard. "Everything is ready for the presentation." Thank you, Tyler, she said. And how are things going with the new training program? Incredible, he said enthusiastically. We've already trained staff from 15 properties and the feedback has been amazing. People are so hungry for this kind of change. Maya,